Well, I don't know if you can see it on film, but just a real nice shot of the light shining through the seed heads of the grasses there. Sun getting low. This is the time called the Erev, the Ayin Resh Bet. Erev. Translated evening. Technically means blending. Beautiful time of day. See the nature coming out and wildlife like, hey, thank you. Good timing. Nice scene here up in the Sierras. The point is, at this time of day, the evening, the blending of light and dark, day and night, the evening of the 9th day of the 7th month, which happens to be today, on one reckoning of the calendar, is the beginning of the day called Yom Kippur, which is the 5th Moed. Some people say it's the 6th. I believe it's the 5th. Lining up with day 5 of creation, birds in the air and fish in the sea. What do you do with that? It's like balancing scales, seesaw, one's up, the other one's down. Yeah. Different ways to look at it. But the point is, the commandment is, you will afflict yourself on this day, 24 hours, from the Erev of the 9th day until the Erev of the 10th day. Now, typically, I was born and raised with no regard of that. The only people that ever did such things are the Jews, the Israelis. There was the famous, 1972 was the Yom Kippur War. The Arab nations surrounding Israel decided the day that they were afflicting themselves and studying and not sleeping and their mind on another track, that would be the day to sneak up onto them and whack them. Of course, it turned out differently for the Arabs. The Arabs got whacked. When I say the Arabs, it was a group, an alliance of various surrounding neighbors. Anyway, the point is, what are we supposed to do on this day? So you've got some things in Leviticus 23. Verse 26, Yahuwah spoke to Moshe saying, but on the 10th day of this 7th month, it is the Day of Atonement, Yom Kippurim, Yom Kippur. Kippur means covering. There shall be a kadosh, mikra kadosh. It says holy convocation, a mandatory gathering. So you're supposed to get together with your friends and fellow believers. For you, and you shall afflict yourselves. You shall offer a fire offering to Yahuwah. You shall not do any work on this very day, for it is the Day of Atonement, to provide you atonement before Yahweh your Elohim. To provide you atonement. Kippurim. To kippur, to kaf pei resh. In the eyes or before the face of Yahweh your Elohim. Verse 29, for any soul who will not be afflicted on this very day will be cut off from its people. And any soul who will do any work on this very day, I will destroy that soul from among its people. You shall not do any work. It's the third or fourth time he said it. It is an eternal decree. Het kuf tav, ayin vav lamed mem. Chakat olam, an eternal decree throughout your generations in all your dwelling places, meaning even if you get kicked out of the land and living on the opposite side of the earth, like here in California. It is a day of Shabbat Shabbaton, translated complete rest for you, and you shall afflict yourselves on the 9th of the month in the evening, this time of day, See, the light's already faded down and the grasses are no longer lit up like they were.
Boy, it sure has.
Now we get some beautiful oranges over here on that mountainside, but and you shall afflict yourselves on the 9th of the month in the evening. From evening to evening shall you rest on your rest day. Verse 33 gets into Sukkot and Shemini Atzeret, the last two festivals. Some people say it's only one festival, and that Shavuot was two, but that's a different matter, which I disagree with. Anyway, the point is, it's a day of complete rest. Don't do any work. Wait a minute, did he say you're supposed to fast and not eat? Where was that? Did I miss that? You shall be afflicted. That's the word ayin nun hey. Now, we talked about this in the previous video. Now, there's one other place that it talks about this in particular, is Isaiah 58. We did a video a couple years ago about this. We're just going to read the whole verse and talk about it. Cry out vociferously. Do not restrain yourself. Raise your voice like a shofar. I think we did that earlier today in the
We do it all the time.
previous video. Proclaim to my people their willful sins, to the house of Yaakov their transgressions. Now, he's not saying go out and preach to the heathen. He's not saying put on a celebration, Christmas pageant, let people know that God loves them and has a wonderful plan for their life. He's saying go to my people. Is that Israel? Is that the Jews? All 12 tribes. And proclaim to them about their willful sins. Kufresh Aleph is the word cry out. It's also learn how to read Hebrew. Be Gimel Resh Vav Nun, Garon, groan. To the Chet Shin Kaf. The word is dolphin, retard, reserve, cease, dark, obscure. Don't darken or retard or reserve. Don't hold anything back. Like a shofar, lift up your loud voice and tell them. The word is Hagad, Hey Gimel Dalet, where we get literally God as in G-O-D, or Gad, which is to tell a story, Haggadah. To my people their folly, willful sins. To the house of Jacob what they have got completely wrong. They pretend to seek me every day. That's the word Vav, Aleph Vav Tav Yod, Yom Yom. Idrashon, they seek, and knowledge, Da'at, my way, and delight, or desire to know my ways, like a nation that acts righteously and have not forsaken the justice of its Elohim. They inquire of me about the laws of justice as if they desire the nearness of Elohim. It's kind of like in the United States of America having the 10 Commandments on the halls of justice and yet not doing justice. Taking bribes and extortion and blackmail.
Posting the 10 Commandments and not even doing the 4th commandment.
America's the Christian country. Only nothing in our national policy has been right or just or true or righteous or hardly Christian, you might say it in the absolute ideal sense of the word, since its inception. You know, some people wear these hats, Make America Great Again. And I've asked the question, when was America ever great? Let's look back. The days of when the people that came from Europe first to the shores, they slaughtered the natives, and they were given some provisions as if they had a divine hand in the matter. A lot of conflict and broken treaties and slaves, oppression. Salem witch trials, was that when America was great? Oh, they were burning the witches. That was what they were told to do in the Bible. But Civil War, Revolutionary War, Vietnam War, Korean War, World War I and II? Is that when America was great? Killing millions of people under the pretense of lies and distortions and economic gain for corporations, international corporations. Gosh, why don't we make America great for a change? Why don't we, this generation, 2020 here, 2020, why don't we just do what Yahweh said? Why don't we act righteously and with justice and truth and kindness? Why don't we try that? Let's make America great. Sure, let's make the world great. Let's make Israel great. Is anybody on board with that? They pretend to seek me every day and desire to know my ways. Well, what are his ways? Here, Isaiah 58, we'll be talking about that in just a moment. Verse 3, and then they say, why did we fast and you didn't see? Why did we afflict our souls and you didn't know? Well, the word fast here is spelled Zadi Mem. Zadi Mem, Kaf Mem is your fast. Zadi Mem, Nun Vav is our fast. Why are we fasting? But that's not the word used in Leviticus 23. And why did we afflict ourselves? That's ayin nun, yod nun vav. The nun vav is a suffix for all of us. Why did we ayin nun hey? Ayin nun vav. Meek, humble, oppressed, burdened, to cut a furrow, to get yourself in a rut, to answer, reply, respond. You ever had somebody talking to you, you're one of your parents or your teacher or your spouse, and you just sit there staring off? They say, are you listening to me? Say something, respond. You even paying attention? Do you even care? The word ayin nun hey means to respond, pay attention, make it your concern. Now, you can make it your concern by not eating, not drinking, not sleeping, not wearing anything comfortable, clothing. Wear something scratchy, burlap, sackcloth, and ashes. Whip yourself, like the monks and other people have done. I could go walk through a field of blackberries, stinging nettles. Go throw a rock at a hornet's nest and stand here and let him come and get me. That would be afflicting myself. Is that what he wants from us? Sure sounds like it. Verse 3, behold, on your fast day you seek out personal gain and you extort all your debts. What do you mean you seek out personal gain and extort all your... Who's doing that? Well, I don't know anybody doing that. We'll look at those words in a moment in Hebrew. Because you fast for grievance and strife to strike each other with a wicked fist. You're fasting in order to beat up the other guy, to get the upper hand. You get the stock options, he loses. What? You do not fast as befits this day to make your voice heard above. Wait a minute, is that saying that if you fast, you can make your voice heard above? Is this a key to a door that we don't know anything about? I mean, I don't know of any Christians that observe Yom Kippur. The SDAs don't. They acknowledge the Sabbath day, but not the Moedim. Can such be the fast I choose? This is Yahuwah speaking. A day when man merely afflicts himself. He just said to afflict yourself. What do you mean, what a man... Is this the fast that I choose when a man afflicts himself? Duh, yes. Isn't that what you just told us? Can it be merely bowing one's head like a bulrush and spreading a mattress of sackcloth and ashes, making yourself feel uncomfortable? Do you call this a fast and a day of favor to Yahweh? If we go back and look at what he said, you seek out personal gain. The word is tamatza, tav mem zadi aleph vav, hyphened with het pei zadi. Well, that's the word matzah, as in Chag HaMatzot, Feast of Unleavened Bread, but it means to seek, to find out how to do something. If you look at mem zadi aleph, it means inventory. That's where you stash all your supply of stuff. Yeah. It also means invented, to come upon sufficiency, Oh, now I know how to garden and make it work. Oh, now I know which stocks to invest in. Oh, now I know which is the best gas station to go to with the best prices. Oh, now I know how to store food for 20 years. It means to take your bearings, encountering something that you didn't know, and then followed by some benefit. And then that word chafatz is the word for desire, delight, wish, business, pleasure, caprice. Capricious, like a goat jumping around, which is why they call the constellation Capricorn. And that car, was it Chevy Caprice, I believe it was, whim, voluntary. It's like, oh, anything I want. So it seems like they were saying that if we keep Yom Kippur, we finally figured out the secret, the mystery, one of the mysteries of the universe. Starve yourself on that day, and you can have anything you want. You can do anything you want. You win. It's almost like some sort of sorcery, some sort of manipulation of what Elohim's really saying. But and then it goes on to say, Vekol etz vekam tanag shao, and every ayin zadi bet atzav, yod kaf mem, every grief, pain, sad, sorrow, vexed, irritated, hurt. But it also means form, shape, fashion, idol, image, nerve, made nervous. Ayin zadi bet hay is a saddle of formed leather. So it's a form or a shape of something that feels vexed, pain, sad. Well, that's like running through some blackberry with nasty thorns on them or stinging nettles. You touch it and man, that'll burn for hours. It's like, oh yeah, that's a way to torment ourselves. If we just torment ourselves by not eating and not drinking and not sleeping and wearing sackcloth on this 24-hour period, it's the key to the universe of how we can get all the desires that we want. But what he's saying, you do that seeking your desires, thinking that if you just don't eat something, that's what Yahweh's looking for. But every pain, grief, sadness, vexed, sorrow, irritated, hurt, and you're creating a saddle of pain. And then the next word, tav, nun gimel shin vav, is drive, oppress, tyrannize. It's the opposite of being meek, which is ayin nun hey, and it means draw near, approach, present, and offer, press or force, which is the opposite of fasting. He's saying, listen, you guys think by not eating, you've got the key to making all your desires become real, all your fantasies become a truth, and yet you guys are you're building a saddle to come riding in a force, the worst things you could ever imagine. All your troubles, griefs, and woes are going to come riding in on your behavior, thinking that you're fasting in order to play into some cosmic calibration. Oh, if they just do this, then that means that everything good can happen. That's occult mysticism. That's almost like, gee, if I just have this lucky rabbit's foot, then everything will go well, and I can go buy a lottery ticket and I'll win because I have the lucky rabbit's foot, because I didn't drink a glass of water on a 110-degree day in the middle of, well, here it is, the end of August. But what's he say? Verse 6. Surely this is the fast I choose. Break open the shackles of wickedness. Undo the bonds of injustice. Let the oppressed go free. Annul all perversion. This doesn't mean burn down the cities, beat everybody up, run down innocent people because you're protesting that they used to do that to your ancestors, like what they're doing in various cities in America these days and various other places as well. You can't fix the problem by promoting the problem. Verse 7, surely you should. Now he's telling us exactly the formula for success. Break your bread for the hungry. Bring the moaning poor home. It doesn't necessarily, it says to your home. It doesn't necessarily say bring them home.
Bring your home to them.
I think it means bring them home furnishings, home necessities. What does it mean to have home? Let them have a home. If they want to camp into the woods, there's some places around where, like in Portland, they've started allowing people to live in the woods. Great. Thankfully, I don't have to live in those conditions. But some people that, for whatever reason, have lost their homes or live in the wood like a pioneer or like a Native American, like a troglodyte, a guy living in a cave, fine. Yahweh provides that people should be able to live on the face of the earth. They shouldn't have to have a house with hundreds of dollars a month or thousands a month mortgage, or else you end up in jail for not having. It's illegal to sleep in your car in America. Gosh. Bring the moaning poor, the destitute. Bring them what they need for a home. When you see a naked person, clothe him. Do not hide yourself from your kin. Wait a minute. Did he say we can't eat? Did he say we can't be clothed? Did he say that we can't drink water? Here, let's go back over that again. Surely this is the fast I choose. Break open the shackles of wickedness. Quit your lying, stealing, killing, and stealing. Just stop the normal American business tactics. Gosh, undo the bonds of injustice. Let the oppressed go free. Didn't you say that somebody just got out of jail, that they were in for 20 years for some almost minimal offense?
Yeah, Trump pardoned them. Some stupid drug charge.
She was caught with a marijuana cigarette back before they realized it was medicine.
Yeah, this stupid crap.
Let the oppressed go free and annul all perversion. Tav, nun, tav, kuf. I'd have to look that word up. Nun, tav, kuf, to see what word that really is. Maybe the word is memvav tet. Anyway, the point is, that's the only requirement that he says. Then he goes on. Verse 8, then your light will burst out like the dawn. Now this is the blessing everybody's looking for. You can't manipulate it with sorcery. Then your light will burst out like the dawn. Your healing will speedily sprout. Your righteous deed will precede you, go before you, pay it forward. And the glory of Yahweh will gather you in. Verse 9, then you will call and Yahuwah will respond. You will cry out and he'll say, here I am. It's conditional. If you believe in Jesus. Oh gosh, sorry, the page must have flipped to the New Testament. I'm being facetious. It says, if you remove from your midst perversion, finger pointing, and evil speech. You see, this is an action. This just isn't trusting in the fact that Yeshua died on the cross to pay for our stupidity, our ignorant wickedness. It's stop it. And if you offer your soul to the hungry and satisfy the afflicted soul, don't go out and cause more affliction, make more need, burn down people's businesses, destroy their cars. Then your light will shine in the darkness, and your deepest gloom will be like noon, meaning to say the worst it'll ever get for you will be like broad daylight. That's as dark as it's ever going to get for you. Then Yahuwah will guide you always. Sate, which is satisfy your soul in times of drought and strengthen your bones. Doesn't matter about the quarantine. Doesn't matter about them shutting down the world economy. He will strengthen your bones, which comes from nutrition. And you will be like a well-watered garden and a spring of water whose waters never fail. And, verse 12, ancient ruins will be rebuilt through you. That's kind of like going back and restoring this Paleo-Hebrew. And you will restore generations-old foundations. Gee, that's like going back and saying, let's keep the Sabbath day in the Moedim. Let's go back and restore the significance of his Shem Kadosh, his great exalted name that everybody seems to scorn, detest, and don't care about. And they will call you repairer of the breach and restorer of paths for habitation. Paths for habitation. Not because it's the end of the world and real quick, let's do something good so he thinks that we're all paying attention. It's like, no, this is to restore the place for people to live. Verse 13, if, it's conditional. If. Aleph Mem. If you restrain your foot because it is the Sabbath. Is that the seventh-day Sabbath?
No.
Well, he did say to not work on the Sabbath day, but we just read in Leviticus 23, 4 times he said, do not work on this Shabbat Shabbaton, what is called a high Sabbath, a Sabbath of Sabbaths. Refrain, because it is the Sabbath, from accomplishing your own needs on my Yom Kadosh, my holy day, my day that I told you, do not do any work and gather together. If you proclaim the Sabbath a delight, in other words, he said, you guys were looking for your own delights. Hey, if I fast this day, then that means I can get leverage over this other guy. I can get the house instead of let him buying it. I can get the business deal. I can get the shrewd insights. I can get the cool job. I can get this. I can get that. This word delight is oneg. Ayin Nun Gimel. It's a different word than het pezadi. Similar, but I'm just saying that if you look at it, it's a little bit different. If you proclaim, he's talking about the day of Yom Kippur, the day of fasting, a delight, and the Kadosh of Yahweh honored. And you honor it by not engaging in your own affairs. Does your own affairs include eating, drinking, bathing, sleeping? Yeah, maybe. What does that mean? Don't engage in your own affairs. Don't seek your own needs. Does that include eating and drinking and sleeping? Maybe, but maybe it means don't be worried about, gosh, what about my business? What about my car payment? What about my electric bill? What about all these things? What about gathering up wood for the coming winter? Don't even think about your stuff. Or discussing the forbidden. And that word for for forbidden is that they dabar. What? Speak, buzz behind someone's back, gossip. It might mean, it doesn't say discussing the forbidden. In other words, how do we know what this stuff means? Well, learn Hebrew. We'll have a conversation about it. You try to figure it out. Verse 14, then, if then, it's conditional. Then, Aleph Zion. If was Aleph Mem. Then, at that time, you will delight. That's the word oneg. And I will mount you astride the heights of the world. He will mount us astride the heights of the world. But you notice that back in the beginning, when people would fast in order to figure out how to manipulate the mechanics of the cosmos, they were making a saddle for bringing in their own grief, pain, vexation, and despair, just like instead of you running through the nettles and blackberries, you're bringing it to yourself. And he's saying, then I will mount you astride the heights of the world. I will provide you the heritage. That's Nachal, Nun Chet Lamed Tav, of your forefather Jacob. For the mouth of Yahuwah is spoken. Ki pi, kaf yod, pei yod. Pronounced ki pei, but that's more like pei aleph or pei hey. Ki pi, Yahuwah debar. Now that same phrase, ki pi, Yahuwah debar, is the same phrase we talked about the other day when people, might have been in Isaiah 40, but people are going to read or come to the place where they can read and understand the Hebrew alphabet, understand every word that Yahweh said is a system, is a mechanical apparatus, is a like electromagnetics, causing flow and causing like electrons and protons to attract and push away, reject, retract from each other. These forces are what he designed in the alphabet. And certainly, I have to agree that by looking at the letters and determining what they mean, it is for my own good. It is for your own good. It's because Yahweh said that he will be bringing us a blessing for the sake of the entire planet when his people return to his words. But the blessing is for the benefit of it all. It is all of us. It's not just for me to say, oh, I want good stuff, I want more stuff, having something better than the other guy, or let me take what the other guy could have gotten. He said, look, give what you have, share. Help the other guy who's destitute. Like there's not enough going around. There's not enough cars that everybody should have. There's not enough phones that people need to steal from each other. There's not enough what? Not enough food? You know how many farmers are told to bury their produce and farmers are paid not to farm? There's plenty of food in this planet. But because of business interests, because of the stock market, because of international manipulation, economic leverage on other countries, there's not enough to go around. Knock it off. Hey, Trump, why don't you change things for the good for America? Make America great for a change. Why don't you read the laws of Yahweh, Isaiah 58, and do some of that? Will the people stop rioting? What is it that causes the riots? Is it people's dissatisfaction? Well, according to this, it's when we oppress one another, when Yahweh's people oppress each other, it stirs up and provides a saddle for the thistles and blackberries, the stinging nettles, the hornets to be brought right into our very midst. So what do we do on Yom Kippur? If you don't want to eat because you want to fast before Yahweh to make your voice heard on high, then don't eat. If you want to not drink and not sleep and not bathe, not use the restroom, not do something to torment yourself, go right ahead. You want to jump into the stinging nettle bush? Go ahead. I'm not going to stop you. Do something to afflict yourself. But that word afflict can mean sing. Respond by listening. Respond by making it your burden. So here we've made what? 4 or 5 videos today for afflicting your ears. If you're listening to all these, you'll get these in a couple days. So you're not listening to it today, but maybe you can apply them another couple weeks from now when the next calendar, a month from now, 2 weeks from now, when the couple more calendars come around. Do something to afflict yourself to show Yahweh you're listening. Afflict yourself, that same word means humble, poor, modest, restrained. Don't just do anything you want and don't work. That's what he said. Get together with other people. Make it your burden to contemplate his words. Figure out how to do them.
We go to the homeless camps.
You go to the homeless camps and do what?
Give them food, tents, sleeping bags, medical supplies, shelter, whatever they need. Socks, shoes.
Give the people who don't have any ways for getting for themselves. Maybe they don't have transportation. Maybe if they turned their back and went to the store, they'd come back and their camp would be raided and looted by other people.
Pretty much bring your house to them.
Bring their house to them. It doesn't say your house. The point is, help one another. That's what Yahweh wants to see. He doesn't need to see you not eating. But if it includes you not eating, instead of you having lunch, go buy a poor person lunch. Do that. Oh, you miss a meal. Big deal. If you're diabetic or you can't, it's like, I'm not saying starve yourself and throw yourself into the hospital.
Well, if you think about the timing, it's perfect as well. Go out and take care of the needs of others before our big celebration is Sukkot, where he tells us to party.
Coming 5 days right after Yom Kippur, starting on the 10th of the 7th month. Well, the sun has gone behind the horizon. So is this the beginning of the next day? According to the Jews and according to the Seventh-day Adventists, it is.
Not according to Scripture.
But according to Scripture, in Genesis chapter 1, first there was darkness. That's what he made first. There's darkness. Then he said, let there be light. Okay, now there's light. And then it says there came to be evening. Okay, so there's darkness, then there's light, then there came to be evening. Then there came to be morning. Well, that's 12 hours from now, roughly. And then he called it a day. What? The last thing to happen before he called it a day was morning. And then he worked on the second day. Separated water from water, above from earth, heavens above, earth below.
Yeah.
And then there came to be evening. And then there came to be morning. What about nighttime? He worked during the day, there came to be evening, there came to be morning, and then he called it a day. Okay, that's it, day 2. What? Wait a minute, I thought day 2 started after evening, but then morning should be somewhere in the middle of the day, but there came to be evening, there came to be morning. Day 2. Called it a day. And then he worked. Now this is day 3. Separated the land, the earth, from the water, spoke forth to bring forth plants, so he at least put seeds into the ground in Genesis 2. Nothing had sprouted yet, so he at least designed and built and planted seeds. And then there came to be evening, and then there came to be morning. A 12-hour gap. And then he called it a day. 6 days in a row. After he worked, there came to be evening, vayhi erev, vayhi boker. There came to be evening, there came to be morning. Then he called it a day. Boker's morning, sun breaking over the horizon, breaking through the darkness. Sun rays on the clouds and on the treetops. It sure sounds like the day starts in the morning. There's more to that subject. Tim Asselford up in Canada, Flint for the Rock, as I believe is the name of his ministry. Anyway, he did a great study. Check it out. When does a day start? On Yom Kippur, starts the evening of the 9th. If the evening of the 9th was the beginning of the 9th, then you'd keep it from the 9th to the morning. That's still 9th. Then it would end on the 10th, but that's the beginning of the 10th. What? It only works if a day starts in the morning. The evening of the 9th to the evening of the 10th, that's Yom Kippur. Now, depending on when you start a month, that's another matter. Suddenly the calendar becomes a big issue. Gosh, why do we have to concern ourselves with these things? We've got business to take care of. Set your mind, your heart on His matters. Make it your concern this day. Quit fighting about your business. Quit worrying about your assets, your bills. Feed your animals. Water your plants. I don't think that's work. I don't think. Tend for those in need, dependent on you, and be kind to them. Love one another. And Shabbat Shalom.
Hallelujah.